The doozy, and this is hard mode, folks. So what that means is primarily pertaining to the Super Metroid logic, we may be seeing some more advanced required shenanigans to get our logic may expect you to go into example to Hell Run, to go into heated areas without Varia suit. You may have to go to Meridia without gravity suit. And we're off. Seems we have Bressingham giving us the Hyper Metroid sprite. Nice little color touch-up. Now, this is hard mode, so that means 2 items are in Logic and Super Metroid right off the bat. Vanilla Morph Ball and Blue Brinstar E-Tank, but it looks like everybody went straight to A Link to the Past, revealing a missile pack on Hylia Island.
Yeah, it's one of these things, is like you can decide to go and get those 2 checks. It's pretty much a risk, because if you go down there, there's nothing, you've just wasted about 40 seconds of your time.
Yeah, interestingly, there was a glove on Morph Ball last Sunday. But it looks like we've got everybody going straight for the Hyrule Castle. We've got a blue pendant at Desert, red crystal at Eastern, and a blue crystal at Tower of Hera. And that would appear to be big 20s on the Tier 3 tree pull.
So while 3 of our runners went to the secret passage to check Uncle, we have Maniacal setting up a Houlihan glitch, which gives him 225 rupees as a sort of one-time deal when you start up a run. If you glitch out your camera so that it sort of panics, it doesn't know what to do when you fall down a hole, it puts you in that little safety room as a sort of developer get out of jail free card.
You gotta love those emergency backup plans. Not finding much in the sewers, just hard piece and some extra money. So a lot of big 20s, and the Sanctuary had a map, so that's making front of escape and back of escape both look pretty good once we get the means to access them.
So Ozzy making a play going towards Eastern Palace first.
This is an interesting play. Aussie tends to favor routes that avoid the dense areas until absolutely necessary. One common thing he likes to do is Bryn skip, where he'll try to skip Brinstar if possible.
Only getting the red boomerang though, which some people think is the best, but I think most people favor the blue.
Well, it depends if you're trying to set up splash deletion. Extra sprites on screen can always help in that front.
Maniacal finding a glove at the race game.
Ooh, and Bressingham going into Mini Moldorm Cave. So we've got some nice early divergence to start this one off. There was a shield in the Thieves' Hideout. And just some cash on the library, looks like. An answer question in chat. Splash deletion is a trick that sort of an alternative method of performing a fake flipper. You can have so many sprites on screen that the splash... Ooh, gotta have to interrupt for a second, as we just found Space Jump in the Kakariko Well, which means already Samus can fly. That is definitely going to make the Super Metroid trek a lot easier, and Bressingham finds Charge Beam in the dam chest.
Are we looking for a front-loaded Super Metroid seat this time?
Possibly. Maybe a more stacked Brinstar? Well now. Especially with Maniacal finding Speed Booster in the Chicken Hut, we can already check the waterway, so... Things are looking pretty good for a good Brinstar sweep. Minor problem, though, we still have no Morph Ball, and to add it, just to add to the Stackarico mentality, we got flippers on the bottle vendor. And Aussie finding our second shield in Eastern Palace. And the item that I think Ivan had to pass up on in the back of the well due to lack of bombs was just a super missile pack.
We do have Bresnham in the desert checking off our desert ledge, which is just a 5 capacity upgrade for bombs. And checking out this really obscure cave of Agina to try and see if there's anything here.
Well, Ivan just found mirror and morph ball bombs in the back of Blind's hut, Maniacal following suit, and our final Blind's hut chest gives us the hammer. Wow, talk about a front-loaded start here. We have glove and hammer. We have speed booster, space jump, and bombs. Fascinating.
Let's hope our Moon Peril doesn't bottleneck our seed this time.
Let's hope not. Aussie finding some Zora money in the big key chest of Eastern Palace. Now with Mirror and Hammer, once we have either a flute or a lamp, we can access East Death Mountain, as chat points out. Now granted, logic is merely a suggestion to these runners. They would most likely sequence break it without the lamp, but they can totally go to East Death Mountain already.
Random me point out as well that we do have our Super Metroid portal on Death Mountain that would take us from Northfield to the Death Mountain area as well.
True. And with that glove, Maniacal is heading straight for the back of Escape. Bressingham running through the rest of the Kakariko checks, while Ivan and Aussie are both going to get their gloves. And some blue berries and a blue shirt in the back of Escape. So blue mail, 7.5 minutes in, that's definitely a major plus for early game.
Especially if we find that Dark World access really early, because Dark World hits like a truck, especially when you're stuck on green mail.
You don't have to tell me twice. Especially those Lionels on Dark Death Mountain. Interestingly, we have not found any power bomb packs yet. There wasn't that much in Mini Moldorm Cave either, for a change.
Yeah, just some ammo for Super Metroid.
Now granted, power bombs aren't going to be too much of an issue once we find Morph Ball, as we do now have our Morph Ball bombs. However, some power bomb locked areas like Red Tower, Crateria power bombs, and whatnot will not be accessible until we get said power bombs. Bush Crab's giving a full magic refill today. Meanwhile, Aussie finally coming around to make those Kakariko village checks.
Okay, so where are we looking for our next progression then? Because I think we've seen almost everything.
Well,
we do have the flippers, so we can check the hobo, and we can get to Zora's domain and check the waterfall.
Yeah, we've got all the flippers checks. We've got Front of Escape, which will be all items plus Dark Cross, as we have seen the key and the map already. We have Ice Rod Cave, which Maniacal's headed for already. We can't access Desert. And what did Agina's Cave have again? It wasn't anything
It was
important.
just 20 rupees.
That's what I thought. So yeah, we're not... despite all of the progression we did get for A Link to the Past, there's not much else logically we can check. Besides front of escape and the flippers checks.
We haven't seen a lot of money this seed, actually.
That
and
is
that
true.
usually means Zora is important.
Yeah, there was a 300 rupee drop in the back, in the vanilla big key chest of Eastern Palace. But that's about it. The only other thing Eastern had was, I think, of value was a shield. Maniacal getting the big 20 rupees out of his tier 3 tree pull. Yeah, the thing with the combo randomizer is that for whatever reason, the tree pulls automatically default to tier 3 when you kill your first enemy, if you're transitioning from a new file to Link to the Past for the first time. Tier 3 or tier 2, depending on if you got hit. But long story short, it defaults to your upper tier tree pulls. Oh, mind of me in chat is saying that it's because an Octorok blowing up counts as several kills. That I did not know. Ah, Aussie is electing to play the chest game. I should say the rupee gambling chess game in the top of the Lost Woods. I think he was trying to get some extra cash for Zora, but unfortunately, it did not pay out at all.
Iva's screen has gone blank as he has decided to climb Death Mountain without that lamp.
I like this play just because you can access Tower of. Does Ivan have his mirror? Ooh, there's a blue, the other boomerang in the front of Hyrule Castle.
Minding me pointing out that Ivan does have his mirror.
Okay, so yeah, I do like this play then, since you can check East Death Mountain, you're gonna get your item from the old man, it secures a respawn point, and there's our first pack of power bombs.
Yeah, definitely having the save and quit to get to the mountain is much better than if, for instance, your alternative has to be going through Super Metroid, because that's a long trek.
Yeah, now granted, we don't have a fire source, so we can't check the Hera basement, especially if the Hera big key is fire locked. If it is not fire locked, we can kill Moldorm, as we do have an applicable weapon in that hammer.
Yep, Moldorm being one of these bosses that only takes damage from like the sword and the hammer and nothing else.
Looks like Maniacal is setting up for a death warp here.
Maniacal, you have the mirror, you can just warp, and there's the Moon Pearl.
So there is early Dark World access.
So our three runners that decided to break logic and get towards Death Mountain have now lost out on the Moon Pearl. And quite an obvious check.
Yeah, Front of Escape is a strange case, because Zelda Cell is a little out of the way, and granted, you have Hammer, which is a very powerful weapon. It does deal Tempered Sword damage. But the downside is it's got a smaller hitbox. We do have our Dark World map check. I believe our other two pendants are Misery Mire is our green, and Ice Palace was our red.
I think Ice Palace was the crystal, but I'm not sure.
I'll take another quick look on my playback right now. Ah, I stand corrected. You are correct. Ice Palace is the other red crystal, and Swamp Palace is our red pendant. Maniacal giving us a much better look here. So, looks like we have seen both items in Tower of Hera, so besides a free crystal, that's pretty much all we're getting out of this dungeon.
Yep, we've got both our items, so that means the basement is useless to us, so there's no point in going to get it.
Ooh, Maniacal finding Titan's mitts in Hype Cave. We've got a surprisingly strong link to the past start here for our runners this time around. Ivan, meanwhile, blink it and you miss it. Down goes Moldorm.
Yep, only 3 hits with the hammer, as opposed to like the 6 or 7 you need to do with your fighter sword.
Yeah, no, with Titan's mitts and flippers, we can already open the front. We can get in the front door to Ice Palace. We just can't get past the front door. No advanced fire. Stumpy not giving us anything of significant value, but with the mirror, Maniacal is going to go ahead and check K45.
Half magic, that's very, very useful if you can find something that we're going to use as a weapon from our magic side.
Yeah, well, granted, Fire Rod and Ice Rod, for that matter, will be required this sea. Total Rock is one of our crystals, but yes, finding half magic super early. The earlier you find it, the better. The same with Spacer Beam, really, assuming you don't find Plasma beforehand. Just a 5 arrow capacity upgrade in Spiral Cave. And I blinked and I missed what Aussie caught on the floating island back there.
It was just a missile back.
Okay. Maniacal got the digging prize very quickly. It was... Let me have a quick look. 6 digs for a hard piece.
I even found in our ice beam in the bottom side of a lower paradox cave. So we found one of our beam combinations.
Yeah, Ice Beam's a good one, because that means you don't have to burn power bombs against the Metroid Centurion. So that's 15 power bombs you may not have to burn at the endgame. Upper Paradox Cave giving us a hard piece, our first bottle with a B, our first reserve tank, Big 20, and a heart container. And actually, come to think of it, I think that's our first energy tank type item so far.
There was an energy tank in the well, I believe.
Okay.
Because
Maniacal.
Birmingham was in the upper north fair, did a bit of a hell run to see what the item on Bubble Mountain was, and then swiftly backtracked out of that.
I see. Maniacal, meanwhile, continuing on his logic, the expected logic chain, and that's the energy tank you're talking about. I see it. The Smith's not having much for us, unfortunately. Maniacal electing not to pick up the purple chest. Oh, he's mirroring to check sick. Actually, wait, no. The bottle was in Paradox Cave, so he has no bottle. I guess he's going to do that Village of Outcast checks and then do the purple chest.
Yeah, maybe take a dive into Thieves Town. Because, yeah, we can actually finish Thieves Town.
That's actually a really good idea. So Maniacal's routing has been checking out pretty well so far. Although, to be fair, the sequence break to Death Mountain has not been without merit either. Without fruit, I should say. Giving us Ice Beam and the Hera Crystal. Ivan, meanwhile, is actually going from Upper Norfair back through Red Tower to head back to... looks like he's heading back to Crateria.
So this is the one really obscure location in hard mode that can be in logic without anything like the morph ball. where you come from Death Mountain and you scale the Red Tower. And I believe it's the Alpha Power Bombs check.
Ah, fascinating. It should be noted that apparently Maniacal found the red cane in the back of the brewery. So we have our cane of Samaria. That's definitely one of the items you don't want to go hunting for. And just a super missile at Alpha Power Bombs.
That's one of those plays that if it does happen to be there, you have got like an amazing lead over everyone else.
Yeah, and it's the gambles to check those plays that can really make or break a race for any runner. I remember one time Aussie elected to do Bryn Skip, and he got Pegasus boots in Misery Mire. He went straight to King's Tomb and got Cane of Samaria in King's Tomb. Whereas everyone else would have probably full cleared the rest of Link to the Past before getting that. Alright, so Ivan's going to heal and rearm at the ship. Maniacal's opened up all the chests in Thieves' Town. No sign of the small key yet. I believe we've seen at least 2 items in the front of Thieves' Town. I don't know if Maniacal picked up a dungeon item yet. Bressingham doing the Hyrule Castle play and will get his Dark World access momentarily. Uh-oh, there's Grappling Beam at Terminator.
It's not really that useful though, because we do have our space jump.
True. But when I see a lot of movement upgrades and no gravity suit, I get worried, especially when it's a hard mode seed.
Always leads the possibility of one of these suitless Meridia runs.
Aussie, meanwhile, is giving us our flippers checks. We've had access to this for quite some time. Starting off with a 10 stick capacity upgrade in on the bridge guy. We get the Book of Medora in Eastern Palace, and with only 1 dungeon item found so far, that means there is still 1 item in the front of Thieves' Town.
I've been finding the Magic Cape doing the early mock ball trick to get to your supers. Oh, that's a place for mock ball for the Morphin Ball.
And to top that off, under the bridge is the Ice Rod.
I've been doing the proper mock ball trick instead of just using the speed booster.
Yeah, that gives us a lot of checks in Super Metroid. Honestly, not finding much in the Waterfall Fairy. So yeah, it seems that Ivan's decision to start checking Super Metroid with Speed Booster has been paying off in spades. Because now you don't have to go hunting for that Ice Rod. And you have Morph Ball, and you can fly to go with it. And with Morph Ball bombs, it means you don't have to go too crazy about Power Bomb usage. King of all scams giving us an energy tank for our 500 rupees, while Ivan finds our first sword above the Edikun pit. Now, it looks like Maniacal found the dungeon map, so it looks like End has checked the Thieves Town big chest, so the remaining item is on blind. Opting to use cane strats for this segment.
Yep, definitely a half magic. It's a lot easier to hit blind with these magic bricks than it is with the hammer.
And take a look at this interesting play from Bressingham. He is electing to dip Swamp Palace now. And granted, this is an interesting play because we can check everything up to left side swamp with our current equipment.
And this is only a pendant too, so this would definitely be on the lowest of some people's priorities.
Yeah, it seems that we have a lot of surprise gambles going on today. We get an energy tank in Mission Impossible. So we've now got, I believe that's 3 logical energy tanks, because of the one Aussie picked up from Zora, which means we can Hell Run to Ice Beam. We can Hell Run to Croc with 2 E-Tanks, Ice Beam with 3. We need 5 if we want to logically Hell Run to Bubble Mountain. Maniacal was heading towards the purple chest, but I think he's taking one quick detour to do bumper ledge and graveyard ledge checks.
It wouldn't surprise me as well if he's taking a dip into Skull Woods and seeing what those 2 items, if they're in the front possibly.
Alright, we've got Ivan attempting the wave gate glitch, and how this works is you angle a super missile and use the momentum to have the super missile clip into the hitbox for the gate without needing wave beam. Unfortunately, it is only for a pack of missiles.
And he did waste quite a few super missiles for that. They are not easy to come by, those super missiles.
No. Maniacal picking up the, Ooh, there's another energy tank. Maniacal picking up the big key to Skullwoods right away, and heading straight for the big chest he found, taking a quick look, 1 small key followed by another one right after. So, mostly the key woods so far. Alright, Ivan is now doing the waterway check. This is in logic with Speed Booster, even though he does not have Gravity Suit. There's just enough space to get a full Shine Spark charge. Unfortunately, you first.
I was just going to say, Ozzy was in the Dark Cross of Sewers, but I didn't see what item we got.
It looks like, actually we couldn't either, because it might have been a Super Metroid item. Super Metroid items are not visible in the dark. So we are going to have to wait until Aussie switches over to Super Metroid to possibly see what that was. Not too much near Charge Beam this time around. Ooh, Maniacal, interesting play here, has elected to mirror to the Lost Woods in order to perform another tree pull.
It does give him his 500 rupees, so he could now check Zora if he wishes.
Yeah, that's a very heads-up play there. Bressingham, meanwhile, not finding too much in Swamp Palace yet. He is, however, heading towards the left side.
I even done a short charge through the wall there and finds his plasma beam. I believe that was the same place it was last week.
I don't remember,
Close
honestly.
enough.
But yeah, Plasma Beam, that's a pretty good one. to find, especially with Charge Beam. That's incredibly powerful.
Yep, once we find that X-ray, we'll unlock our ability to microwave our bosses in Super Metroid.
Interestingly, Bressingham found the flute in Left Side Swamp. Unfortunately, with Meyer being a pendant, not to mention you could get there with backdooring Lower Norfair, that's unfortunately not the item you really want to find this time around. Ivan, meanwhile, finding Screw Attack in the just below Billy May's room. And I blinked and I missed this, but apparently Maniacal got magic powder. And check the excuse me. Check the magic bat, but it was just a heart piece.
So the interesting thing about the flute is, as much as you said about the back door into Meyer, it also counts as our back door into Lord Norfair. So we can check our Screw Attack location, we can check Golden Chorizo. We do have space jump, so if we need to, we can always go the long way around and pick up that item.
True. And with Ivan picking up Screw Attack in Retro Brinstar, he's actually looking really good for traversing through the majority of Super Metroid here.
Yeah, Screw Attack will either one-shot most enemies or will make you invulnerable to almost every attack. So even just maneuvering around Lord Norfair with 3 energy attacks becomes so much easier.
Not to mention, if you elect to do like the Great Hell Run, as I like to call it, and go all the way to Ridley and back, which granted you need probably a ton of energy tanks to do, but you can do that with much easier with Screw Attack, especially when you're trying to get past the 3 Musketeers. Now, granted that, as Mind of Me points out, that is never in logic, but nevertheless, it may be something our runners decide to do if Area Suit becomes a difficult one to find. I've been finding the Quake Medallion in Shaft Supers. So
Ether finding another energy tank for us on Graveyard Ledge. We are stocking up some health for those hell runs.
Yes, indeed. And Ivan also found Ether in Billy May's room, so we have 2 medallions already. An answer question in chat. The Morph Ball was in... it was in Brinstar. It was in Green Brinstar. It was above the Speed Booster Bridge. Early Supers. Ivan is the only one to have elected to really venture deep into Super Metroid after doing some Death Mountain checks. We're getting a look at the back of Gauntlet now, which has another energy tank and a pack of missiles.
Ivan, of course, with Space Jump and Screw Attack, Gauntlet will be a walk in the park for him.
Even more fancy, he can just speed boost Shine Spark all the way through the front half. Bressingham, meanwhile, gave us our Sick Kid check, but it was just another 10 sticks.
It's starting to look like our Link to the Past has dried up slightly.
Possibly. We do still have the Mire Shed and Checkerboard Cave. And furthermore, we can actually check the front half of Desert Palace. We have no fire source for Landmolus, though. Yet. Alrighty, we've got Ivan going to check criteria power bombs, while Bressingham showed us it was just a heart piece in the purple chest.
not being too bad of the check because he does have the flute, as opposed to having to trail the chest all around. And it looks like ether's required to open up Nightmare or Misery Mire.
Yeah, and interestingly, Misery Mire is... we actually can't get past the front door yet. No hookshot or Pegasus boots, but there's the lamp in Mire Shed. So there's our logical Death Mountain access. Because the myths were in Hype Cave, and we could get to that without... Well, granted, we had Flute too, so... But that also means we can now logically clear Eastern Palace. It means we can now logically, assuming no boots locks, full clear Desert.
Resingham finding our second sword inside the checkerboard cave.
And Bressingham's going to be able to get a few good things done with his current equipment as well. And with that sword, he can now use medallions. Looks like with Ivan's current equipment, he is electing to go to Wrecked Ship next. This is a full clearable destination.
Yeah, our only cause for worry going into Wrecked Ship early is if you don't have the speed boosters to get to the reserve. But with speed boosters being available in the chicken coop really early on, yeah, we can 100% clear this location.
Yeah, and with 4 energy tanks and charged plasma beam, this shouldn't be too hard, honestly, of a Fantoon fight. And Ivan just deciding, nope, I do not need another B-Torp. Aussie, meanwhile, has gotten his second crystal from Blind, and Maniacal is finally making the trek up to Death Mountain. And Desert Palace, I believe, is boots locked. Because there was a small key on the torch, and the first chest had a heart container, it would seem.
With Desert being a pendant, though, that probably points that we're not going to find the boots anytime soon.
True. And with Mire being a pendant, we don't need necessarily the boots to get past the front door there, so we may be seeing a late boots this time around.
Could have one of those pseudo-go modes where we get to Ganon's tower and then it's like, oh yeah, the key's on the torch. We need to find the boots.
We almost had that last week with Kane being in Shaft Supers and not being needed for any of the crystals. Oh, Maniacal revealing us that there are high jump boots on the Ether tablet.
It's really beneficial because it negates the negative side effect of having the speed booster early, as the speed booster eats your vertical velocity when you jump, so you do not get as much height as you're supposed to.
Yeah, and you know what? Those high jump boots may be pretty important if in the event that we need to do a suitless Meridia dive.
Ivan already finished up with his Fantoon fight. You blink and you miss it.
Finding some Zora money in Wreck Ship. Now, Ivan has not been, I believe, to the waterfall area, so has not gone to his energy tank from the big fish. And his next port of call, I believe, is going to be Spiky Room of Death. Should be not too difficult with Space Jump, but nevertheless, the spikes do deal a lot of damage suitless. I believe it's 120 if the spikes fall onto you.
And the static spikes as well do about 80. So, yep, it's aptly named for the amount of 100% runs that it has killed because of how quickly you can die in this room.
Absolutely. Aussie, meanwhile, picking up his Titan's mitts, has picked up his Titan's mitts out of Hyde Cave, and he may be making the same play as Bressingham was.
We know it will result in the flute, but the question is the flute actually required for anything?
Well, it looks like it's our logical access. It is, at the very least, our logical access to Death Mountain.
Yeah, because our lamp was in the mire, and we needed the flute to get to that mire. So until we can prove that you could get the mire through Lower Norfair, then yeah, that dive into Swamp Palace for the flute would be required.
Oh, Mind of Me is is reminding us that Morph Ball can get us down there, and that was in Green Brinstar, so yeah, I don't think, unless I'm missing something, I don't think our flute was required this time around. I mean, it helps for movement, but it wasn't required. Here's an interesting turn of events. Maniacal reveals to us that our medallion for Turtle Rock is the Bombos medallion, the one we do not have.
And that's the one we need because Turtle Rock is in Course of Crystal.
Although we're not missing much for Turtle Rock. At this point, we're only missing that medallion and the Fire Rod, and I think we're good. We know where Ice Rod is.
Yep, we can get Red Cane, we can get our Ice Rods, so yeah, Fire Rods and our Bombos to get in there.
And it looks like a bomb capacity upgrade in Wreck Ship Reserve, so no need to go back for that later.
I even finding our third sword in the Missiles in the Sky location, so that's us up to tempered now.
Yeah, we're doing really good on offensive equipment this time around. With Charge Beam, we don't have to worry about ammo cap for bosses like Ridley or Mother Brain. We have Ice Beam, so Torian's not an issue. We know about Tempered Sword already. Ooh, beautiful Shine Spark by Ivan to get to the bowling alley.
That's a remarkably difficult short charge because you have to be careful you don't run into the door as you transition between the two screens. Ivan, of course, is a well-known name in the Super Metroid community for speedrunning.
Yes, indeed, and it definitely shows today. But yeah, definitely give all of our runners a follow because they have been putting on an amazing show for you this afternoon, especially with this kind of seed. And would you look at that? There is Fire Rod in the bottom of Wreck Ship, or below the bowling alley. And with this, oh, and Mushroom. Oh, this has been a pretty definitely worth it to come to Wreck Ship today.
The fetch quests begin.
And for our last check in Wreck Ship, we'll take a look under the moat. And it's just a nope tank. Now, the only downside for Ivan is that he has not been to the front of Hyrule Castle yet, so has not yet picked up his Moon Pearl. That's Ivan's major downside. Everyone else's major downside is that they have not been to Green Brinstar to pick up Morph Ball, Ice Rod, and the other host of useful movement items that Ivan has picked up.
For a change, the item that locks Super Metroid is actually in Super Metroid, and the item that's locking Link to the Past is available in Link to the Past.
All right, Bressingham getting his intel about the high jump boots. And yeah, it's as you mentioned, it seems that everybody who's been sticking to their respective games has been finding progression there, not much else, except for that fire rod from Ivan. And now he's finally able to get his other item in Alpha Power Bombs, and it's just another Super Missile Pack.
Ozzy finding out that the Bombos tablet is just a health upgrade.
Yeah, so with what we have now and what we know, we can full clear. We can't clear Eastern because we're still missing a bow. Amongst all we have seen, that is one thing we have not. So we can clear Skull Woods, Ice Palace, although I think you would have to bomb jump if it's hookshot locked. That's actually it as far as all we can do with our current equipment. Skull Woods and Ice Palace. We can do the front of Pod.
We do, of course, have our options to do some hell runs in Norfair.
That is true. There have definitely been more than 5 total E-tanks and reserve tanks combined out there, so a hell run to Bubble Mountain is definitely a valid option at this point.
It's not particularly a bad choice either, because Bubble Mountain is quite a dense area for items.
Absolutely. You have the 2 items in Norfair Reserve. You've got we've got Croc we can be checking. There's a lot open to us right now. And as Chad is pointing out, always bet on Croc, and that has served true, especially last Sunday.
And probably the Sunday before that as well, if I remember correctly. Croc just wants to prove me wrong. It's very likely that once Ivan is finished with Parade, we will likely see a dive into Norfair.
Possibly, although I gotta say, 45 minutes and just now finally getting around to Kraid, that's not something I'm used to seeing. Usually Kraid is the first boss to go down in almost every seed. And answer question chat, yes, Ivan has Plasma. It was in Retro Brinstar, right to the left of Morphball Pedestal. Aussie and Maniacal both going to get the bad news, or possibly good news, depending on how they interpret it, that Desert Palace is boots locked.
I have been absolutely annihilating Kraid. No chance whatsoever to take him to the prom.
And we will see no dancing on Ivan's screen. And Maniacal is making an interesting play here. He is electing to steal a key from the top of Desert Palace here. And he's going to go check the 2 chests on the eastern side of Desert Palace to see if the last item might be there. In which case, if it is, he's in business.
Yes, as Orange Theodo in chat said, Desert is a pendant, so it's not too serious to steal this key and then check those checks. Because again, chances are boots aren't going to be required this seed. If it's a crystal, on the other hand, you have to be careful, because if you steal that key you may have to go on a wild goose chase to find those boots, when other runners could just have done it without it.
Exactly. And in this particular instance, the only reason this may prove to be a headache later down the road is if there is an item on the pedestal, which, looking at our list of equipment, I think the only thing that could be there... Actually, no, it can't be hookshot because Swamp is a pendant. Also, the second item is on Landmolus.
So essentially, our medallion could be on the pedestal, or anything required for Super Metroid.
True. Bombos could be on pedestal. Bow could be on pedestal. Super Metroid items, of course. So, Varia especially could be on pedestal. I think that's it, though. Because boots are needed for desert, so boots can't be on pedestal. So yeah, bow, bombos, or suits, pretty much, is what we're looking... what could be pedestal at this point.
So one of these snags is, like, if you see the Turtle Rock as a pendant, usually your pedestal crystal is dead at that point. The advantage of it being Swamp Palace, Desert, and Nightmare Misery Mire, there's not a lot of items that lock those dungeons.
Exactly. But take a look at this. Aussie found our last sword in Palace of Darkness, which is not bow locked. Yet. Be hilarious if we found a bow in here.
Considering last week we found both hammer and flippers in here, that would be very cruel of it.
Well, to be fair, Pod's not a pendant today, so... Aussie is preparing a mimic clip maneuver here. What he is doing is he is pause buffering the mimic to get him into the wall, and then in doing so, he will pull the mimic off screen.
Yeah, there's a little bit of saving developer time. The game only checks to see if the enemies are alive by detecting if they're on the screen or not. So if you manage to clip it through the wall, it's no longer on screen, so the door just opens for you.
And check this out, we've got Ivan and Bressingham both electing to hell run in Norfair. And it looks like Bressingham is going to Croc. Now with Charge Plasma Beam, well, actually Bressingham I do not believe has Plasma Beam, but in Ivan's case, with Charge Plasma Beam, this fight's a cakewalk. And Aussie found the big key to Pod in the bow lock section, so the big chest is bow locked. And if you want an example of how effective Charge Plasma Beam is on Croc, just look at the comparison on the left side of your screen.
Yep, one shot, one kill from a charged plasma beam shot to Croc.
Aussie attempting some more swag here is attempting the Hammer Yump maneuver to get to the Palace of Darkness big chest. Also, why did Brian leave his cane behind Crocomire?
Because he thought maybe no one would bet on Croc and it would be safe.
If that is our logical, Or actually, did we find the magic cape?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so I was gonna say that might be our logical access to Spike Cape, but we already had that, so never mind. And not too much in the dark maze of Palace of Darkness. His next stop is going to be the Dark Basement and the Harmless Hellway. And nothing of significance in the pod basement either, it looks like. So this pod dip ultimately, granted, it's giving Aussie Master Sword, which is access to his high jump boots. Not much in Palace of Darkness this time around.
It's also one of those things, though, like that sword isn't required because we could get easier swords along the way. And with the big key being on the Bowlock side, a go mode of Palace of Darkness would be really quick because you could
Yes,
just
it
blast
would.
up the right hand side.
An answer question, chat. Only Ivan has Morph Ball, but not Moon Pearl. Everybody else has Moon Pearl, but not Morph Ball. And I think Aussie is heading straight to the Ether Tablet now to get those high jump boots, and he may be thinking his next stop is Super Metroid, considering he has not yet dipped Super Metroid after all the stuff he's been through in Link to the Past.
Yeah, so this is a full randomizer. The reason that not all the items are on the tracker is because there are a lot of items, and most of them are, by most people's standard, deemed useless. So things like the cane and not the cane, the blue cane and the cape. Yeah, they're invulnerability items, but they're not required to finish the seed on majority of cases.
Alright, Bressingham is actually in Green Brinstar right now. He is going to get the very good news that his Morph Ball and Ice Rod are both here. Also, Getro7's once again in chat from Maniacal as he releases the goose. Honk.
Honk honk.
I mean, y'all knew it was coming. It was a big thing at AGDQ. And it looks like Ivan found Wave Beam at some point in Bubble Mountain before Norfair Reserve, as Mind of Me points out. Very nice. Actually, I
That gives
believe
us
that...
a full crispy, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, that is full beam power for Ivan. And there is still no sign of this our Varia suit either. Ooh, Maniacal did not block delete that second chest, although granted, that second chest I don't think had anything in Mire Shed.
Unfortunately, Maniacal does not know that.
Yeah, so he's gonna double dip Mire Shed, but it's not that long of a time sink. Bressingham finally getting his second sword. And I imagine a trip back to Death Mountain is somewhat in his future soon. It depends on if they start thinking about Suitless Meridia.
If Bressingham routes this so that he's down in Norfair, it may be convenient to just dip out of Norfair and get up to the tablet and then come back.
Indeed. Ivan not finding much in the speed booster location. Looks like a heart piece and an ammo expansion, so nothing crazy out of the rest of these Norfair checks. And for that matter, Croc was surprisingly barren.
See, never bet on Croc. So I imagine Ivan is now running out of checks inside Super Metroid, so we'll possibly be considering moving towards Link to the Past again.
Yeah, now unfortunately, he's gonna miss out on high jump boots at least for a little while, because he has to go all the way to Thieves' Town to get that Book of Medora. I think the item in Dark Cross was X-Ray Scope. Because Aussie and Bressingham both have it, and I believe they are the only two who have been to Dark Cross.
That may be a play that comes into effect later on. We will actually have to wait and see for this one.
Because, yeah, that means we have microwave strats, and for Aussie, when he finds Plasma Beam in Retro Brinstar, that's gonna be huge. And Ivan, seeing that Norfair was as barren as it was, has elected to reset before taking a death. Smart play.
Yeah, deaths in Super Metroid are very punishing.
Yeah, because unlike A Link to the Past, a save is only counted at a save booth, not when you take a death. So yeah, Ivan reset, picked up his wave beam, and should be noping out of Norfair now. It looks like Maniacal is making a pod play as well. Unfortunately, we know this will only give him Master Sword, which, to be fair, does mean he can get his high jump boots.
2 swords, of course, is the minimum we require to finish Link to the Past. So it does get rid of that sort of worry of, oh, where can my swords be? Because there's no restriction on where the swords could be placed.
Pretty much. And it looks like Ivan, at the 1 hour mark, has finally elected to switch over to A Link to the Past, and he has got a lot to do with his current equipment. He could full clear Skull Woods. He's going to eventually get his flippers and his Moon Pearl, so it looks like his first stop is actually to go to Zora or turn in that mushroom.
Yeah, you make a playthrough wreck ship and you eventually find a mushroom, you're going to have to hand it in. Make sure that it was definitely worth it.
And yeah, as Chad points out, he is limited by lack of Moon Pearl for now, but once he does get Moon Pearl and Flippers, he'll be able to, and Titan's Mitts from Height Cave, he'll be able to full clear Ice Palace and Skull Woods, which our other runners cannot do yet. Oh, Chad makes a good point. The Flippers were on Bottle Vendor, and he did not pick those up due to lack of cash. And the mushroom turn-in was junk. Just a pack of missiles. Alright, Bressingham is about to pick up his Plasma Beam, and this will give him Microwave. And this is best case scenario for Bressingham, because he has not fought any bosses yet besides Croc.
Yep. None of the major bosses, as the quicker you get that charge beam, the more valuable it is for Kraid and for more particularly Dragon and Phantoon.
Aussie is doing some fancy stuff here in Bubble Mountain, using the X-ray visor to climb up past the power bomb blocks below Bubble Mountain. To answer a question in chat, microwave is when you combine a charged plasma plasma shot with your X-ray visor, X-ray scope rather, Sorry, been playing a lot of Metroid Prime. When you use all three in tandem, X-ray visor stops the game, but does not, but continues invincibility frames. In other words, if you use a charged plasma shot on a boss that does not have any special invulnerability to plasma beam, like for example, Phantoon, Crocomire, or Dragon, every time you use the X-ray scope, you reset the boss's invincibility frames, so your shot will constantly keep doing damage every frame the beam advances. And charged ice plasma with wave does, I believe, 900 damage per tick. So imagine every frame that the beam is on screen advances, and you use X-ray scope, you're dealing 900 damage to that boss.
Again, one of these developer things where they didn't expect you to have plasma beam by that time, so they didn't program in a defense against it. So, yep, plasma just penetrates pretty much every boss except Ridley.
Ridley and Mother Brain. All right, Ivan's next stop in his Link to the Past dive is Eastern Palace. Unfortunately, there was not much of significance back here. And right now, I think what we're going to be seeing for some time is we're going to be seeing Ivan running the checks that everybody else has, with the exception of being able to route in Skullwoods and Ice Palace, while everybody else will be probably covering the checks that Ivan has already covered.
So as we got back downtown, what we didn't talk about was, for anyone new, as the 4 portals that exist inside the combo randomizer that allow them to switch between the games. We have saw 2. We saw the Lake Hylia and Criteria Parlor connection, which they used at the very start of the game. And we saw the back of the old man cave takes you to the sort of command center area of Norfair. So the 2 other checks, or the 2 other portals, are the right Mire Shed will take you to Lower Norfair, just above the screw attack. And that's a good way to get down behind Gold Chorizo. And the 4th and final portal is a bit out of the way. It's a bit over in what I believe is called the Dark Shopping Mall area.
Yeah,
So-
near the dark version of Ice Rod Cave.
Yeah, so from the Ice Palace, if you go east in the water, and that will take you out to the missile recharge, sort of next to Dragon. So it acts as like a backdoor into Meridia, which is very cool.
Yeah, and the Norfair room is business center. And it would appear that Bressingham has a new follow.
I believe someone is calling you guys out in chat. Go follow all 4 of these runners. They deserve it.
Absolutely.
Minded me trying to get the links for the 4 runners, but it appeared the bot may be dead again. We will get those links for you shortly.
Now, interestingly, Ivan actually has an extra check he can route in after picking up, eventually, Moon, Pearl, and Flippers, and it looks like Ivan remembered the bottle vendor. Good lad.
Oh, Ozzy finds a bombos in the back of Spike Cave.
Yeah, that's actually really good news for Aussie, because Spike Cave is a check a little out of the way, honestly. And with that, he's only looking, well, he's looking for both his rods and cane. But we know where all of those are, so now Turtle Rock is full clearable.
So ideally, we're just looking for a bow, a hook shot, and our items for Super Metroid.
Yes, that's about it. And, you know, the 1 in 22 chance that the big key's on the torch and all that jazz. Aussie electing to use that medallion right away and making the play to Ice Palace. This is going to be some new information for us, as we have not yet seen Ice Palace.
I'm sure Ozzy is very comfortable doing the bomb jump to get past the hookshot restriction.
Oh yeah, I'm not worried about him when it comes to tricks and shenanigans. But as I was saying earlier, before we found that Bamos medallion, another thing Ivan can do, now that he's got Fire Rod and can full clear Ice Palace and Skull Woods, that allows him to eventually check Pyramid Fairy. Once, of course, Moon Pearl and Flippers are found. Well, not Flippers, because Ivan picked those up. To answer question, chat, this is not fast Ganon. Currently, our Link to the Past randomizer section is only running off version 29, which means that we do not have customizable things like customizable crystal settings. Fire Rod's not a valid light source for certain dark rooms, and there are capacity upgrades in the item pool.
Yeah, it's important to point out that the version of the randomizer in here is an independent version. So any updates happen to the Link to the Past don't take effect in here. I believe it's been quite a while since there's been an update to this randomizer, but Toto has been really busy working on the multi-world stuff. So I think with the multi-world stuff being in the state it's going to be in for the moment, we may be seeing some things come across.
Only time will tell on that front. Alright, so once again, everybody is everywhere else. We've got Ivan doing the front of Hyrule Castle. We'll finally get that Moon Pearl. Bressingham is taken on Fantoon, and Maniacal is in Upper Norfair. Yeah, of our runners, Aussie has spent the, as Chad points out, Aussie has spent the least amount of time in Super Metroid at this point. And to be fair, it has done fairly okay for him. At the very least, he now has his Bamos medallion, and he's going to be able to knock Ice Palace off his list.
You know, like ideally you want to spend as much in one game as you can. Obviously, each time you have to go and transition, it takes time, and this is a race after all. So you're trying to keep yourself as optimal as possible.
Indeed. Now, Bressingham, with his charged plasma, is trying to set up the microwave on Fantoon, and Ivan is getting his Moon Pearl and mildly frustrated at that, no doubt. And he's going into Dark Cross to get what we're pretty sure at this point is his X-ray scope. Alright, Aussie did find the big key to Ice Palace, but in the ICU room, it's just a big 20. Yes, that's my name for that room.
It's the one thing about the rooms in Link to the Past, they do not have their own names. Like, there's a couple of major ones like the Ice Tea Junction, but not every room has a name, sort of a unique trait to Super Metroid.
Alright. Nothing but a compass above the big chest, and next stop, Aussie will fall right to the big chest. Just a key. So I think Aussie's next stop is probably Cold Stare. Ivan getting his Dark World intel there. And he's heading straight for High Cave, and this is good news, because this will give him his Titan's Mitts, which will probably give him the heads up that he can do Ice Palace and get both Pyramid Fairy Crystals. Oh wait, no, the other Pyramid Fairy Crystal is Eastern, not Skull Woods. So,
Yep,
never
you still
mind.
need to find that bow.
So yeah, forget what I said about Pyramid Fairy. Oh, don't worry, chat. I know you never forget. Alright, not much in the iced tea room, so Aussie is now going to take on Cold Stare and get his third crystal, first red one. Chat's calling for Bo to be on Laser Bridge, and that is a very distinct possibility right now. Ivan getting his half magic from K45 as Aussie elects to do hammer strats on Cold Stare, managed to keep them together just long enough to get one swing in. But even on Blue Mail, Cold Stare is no joke. I believe a hit from Cold Stare does either, I think it's 2 hearts of damage.
Yeah, Hulk Room Cold Stare is not nice. Particularly around this time is where in the vanilla game that Link to the Past starts to get a difficulty curve. This is where they would normally have given you your blue mail to help deal with that difficulty curve, but it is still there. And you take a wrong move against Cold Stare, you're going to take a lot of damage.
Indeed. Aussie, however, having no trouble, only taking 1 hit to the icicles, that's about it, and gets his third crystal. Alright, let's see where he decides to go next. He's pulling out the flute. He may be electing to go check the front of Skull Woods here, as I do not believe he's been here yet. Now, with the book, I would like to see a pet check out of this. Unfortunately, the ideal circumstance won't be present. It looks like he's heading south anyway, so nope, no pet check yet.
Bressingham's now up to their Tempered Sword after picking it up from the missiles in the sky. Soon to pick up their Fire Rod from underneath the bowling alley.
Not quite sure what why Maniacal stopped with X-Ray in the speed booster room. To answer question chat, book was in Thieves Town, the attic. So that is something all of our runners, or I should say Ivan, will get. All of our other runners already have it. Ivan picking up his cane of Samario now for the back of the brewery. And yeah, the Village of Outcasts and Western Darkworld in general had a pretty decent payout, all things considering, because that book is going to lead to Ivan's high jump boots on Ether Tablet. Bressingham appears to have stopped for a split second, but it looks like he just had to stop briefly, and he's back in business. And he will now get the very good news that this was a pretty, this bowling alley was worthy of a 10 frames of strikes. And Old Man Sunshine in chat has just made me hungry, and I just had lunch.
Now is not the time to be snacking. We do have a race to do.
Nah, I always have my munchies before the stream. Or during if I'm just spectating. Alright, so Ivan going through Thieves Town, about to head up to the attic to get his book and second crystal. We've got Bressingham checking out Red Tower. Aussie is doing Graveyard Ledge. And, or has done Graveyard Ledge, I should say, and is now doing Purple Chest. Doing the World Tour option, it seems. And Maniacal is still hell running Bubble Mountain.
So I believe I saw earlier, I believe the bot lives. So
Yes.
these runners are fall. And also shout out to Mind of Me, because Mind of Me I believe is solo tracking. So trying to track 4 runners is hard enough. Especially when all 4 of them go in entirely different directions.
Not to mention all the stuff we've been finding within the first, 45 minutes.
Yeah, our trackers did not get enough appreciation.
Yeah, Mind of Me definitely putting in the hard work this time around. As she always does.
And of course give Captain MD a follow for taking time out of the day to help commentate.
Same to my good partner Thoris Karathesis. I hope I did not butcher that.
Most people just call me Thoris, that's fine. I'm one for butchering names myself, so I'm not really fussed when someone gets mine wrong. It's like, that's karma for me not being able to do anyone else's name properly.
Now, given what we've seen at this point, and given that we're probably not going to be seeing any new information for the next little while, I want to ask you, where do you think our next progression is going to be hiding at this point?
Is it mean to say Sootless Meridia?
No, especially for a hard mode seed. That's pretty much run of the mill. But yeah, we've seen Ice Palace. So Ice Palace was barren. We can't get past the front door to Misery Mire yet. Turtle Rock's an option. None of our runners fought Gold Terizo yet. They could probably do it with their current equipment.
Yep, we have a number of energy tanks with the reserves as a backup as well.
Yeah, we're doing fairly solid on ammunition. Bressingham actually, I just noticed, has 60 super missiles. Which is, if you did not have Charge Beam, the bare minimum you would need to take down Mother Brain. At this point, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a bow on pedestal. Still a distinct possibility, though there are so many other places where it also could be. It could pretty much be anywhere else except on Helmasaur King or Armos Knights. That's about it. Now, one thing Ivan could do to save a little bit of time here, he does not need to dip Swamp Palace, since while the flute was back there, that was not required this time around.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that's nice to get, but not worth going out of your way to achieve.
Oof, Ivan getting bullied a little bit by those skulls. Now, Ivan is doing the back of Skull Woods here and does have the mirror and the book. So, we may see, as I like to call it, my favorite post-Skull Woods activity.
Where you mirror, read the pedestal, and put your head in your hands and go, why is that pedestal seat?
Ah, that's where the powder was. It was in Skull Woods. Looks like Bressingham got the Crate quick kill as well while we weren't looking.
Yeah, but it's indeed named a quick kill for a reason, because it is very, very fast.
Alright, Aussie is now in Brinstar, finally going to go to Green Brinstar to get that Morph Ball and Ice Rod. And Ivan is electing to go straight to Mothula. I don't believe we saw both items in Skull Woods. I think we only saw the powder.
Nah, it's definitely one of these moments where you're just hoping the item is on Mothula, because you have to do that check. And that one check at the back underneath the bridge is quite a while to get to.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Aussie now finally has his Morph Ball and Ice Rod at 1 hour and 27 minutes in. Making sure to go back and check the 2 items in the back end of early supers to get some more early supers.
Yeah, that's a check you wouldn't want to just run away from and completely forget about. Mothula has a bow!
Oh my goodness.
So that fire rod really paying off.
Indeed. Well, there's another stab wound to the pedestal.
Yeah, so we're just missing hookshot for the link to the past side, and that definitely cannot be on the pedestal because Swamp Palace is a pendant.
Indeed it is. But we are getting our ped check.
Increased arrow storage.
Low price. So it is just an arrow capacity upgrade on the pedestal, so ped's dead. Now here's one thing that could still be a little ugly. Hookshot could be on Landmolus. And there could be like boots in Turtle Rock, for example. Boots on Trinex, that seems to be a recurring theme lately.
I had a multi-world earlier today that had my boots at the end of Turtle Rock. That was not a nice seed.
Yeah, and with that, Ivan's gonna take that bow and go straight for Palace of Darkness. And this is a great play because he can mirror combo Eastern and just get both of those crystals right out of the way. Yeah, I'm being corrected and being informed that we did find both items in desert, so never mind. Land molas cannot have the hook shot. Whoopsie!
It is unfortunately one of those things that happens when you have 4 runners each going in different directions.
And they're
We have
still
saw.
all...
Sorry, go ahead.
Now you first.
I was like, we have saw a lot of item locations like within quick succession of each other, so they tend to blend into one.
Yeah, not to mention, an hour and a half in, everybody's still pretty much in different places. Aussie and Maniacal are kind of close to each other, but that's about it. To answer a question in chat, Super Money Cave was actually already checked, and it was barren. We did have a Dark Death Mountain check earlier in the run. We did not have a Hookshot Cave check, and we still can't check Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, if you want a good way to troll someone, that first check in Hookshot Cave is accessible by the boots. So you put the boots somewhere obscure and you put the hookshot in that first chest.
I've seen it happen, and it is funny, but it's also not funny. Depends on if you're the runner or not. Now, unfortunately, I lost count of all the items in Palace of Darkness. I don't know if Halmasaur King has an item at this point. Although, Mind of Me, our tracker, suspects that there is at this point, and I'm inclined to believe that. I don't know what it's been lately, but Halmasaur King seems to have been the play quite a few times recently. And now Ivan can actually go check Pyramid Fairy after clearing Ice Palace in Eastern. So, we could have progression on Pyramid Fairy at this rate. I would laugh very loudly if both suits were on Pyramid Fairy.
Actually, why I've not been talking so much, I've been laughing at the thought of that. Just giggling away to myself. I was like, what are the chances that both these suits end up in Pyramid Fairy?
I mean, I've seen both suits show up simultaneously in different locations from different runners, but I've never seen two suits back to back from each other. Aussie, meanwhile, has finally picked up his Plasma Beam and is now getting the Billy Mays checks out of the way. Will get his Screw Attack, so this will make the rest of his Super Metroid traversal pretty much a cakewalk.
I hope he's going to pick up on the way out.
Yeah, and Ivan does have to deal with this room in the dark since he has not yet picked up the lamp from Meyershad. Unanswered question, chat, the bow was on Mothula. Which was locked behind Fire Rod, which was in the wrecked ship, under the wrecked ship bowling alley. Why do we call it the Billy Mays room? It's named after the gentleman who of the same name who used to run commercials, and his favorite catchphrase was, "But wait, there's more." And in that room, you see an item, in this case the Ether Medallion, but if you deliver a shot to the tile on the lower left of that pedestal, there's another item.
But wait, there's more.
Go just to the right of this room and you can get a free screw attack. It'll screw over anything you jump into. Wait.
There's definitely a lot of interesting names for some of the Super Metroid rooms.
Yeah, it's better than Metroid Prime, where half of the rooms in like Chozo Ruins are named Ruined Something.
Ruined Chapel, Ruined Nursery, Ruined Gallery.
Ruined Fountain, Ruined Shrine.
It's like, yeah, we get it. It's ruins. Speaking about Metroid Prime, I hear there's a Metroid Prime 2 Echoes Randomizer tournament starting soon.
It is. It will be starting 2 Mondays from now. So a week after the day after today, on the 20th. And I am looking forward to that because I've been getting into the Prime Randos, looking into the Prime Randos myself, and especially Prime 2s is taking great interest to me.
Yeah, I was playing around with Metroid Prime 1, and then I was going to take part in the tournament that they had at the end of last year. But just some personal things came up, so I wasn't in the right state of mind to do it.
Happens to all of us.
But both Metroid Prime 1 and Metroid Prime 2 are both like very, very interesting races to go through if you're trying to see where different items are and what the logic for different rooms are.
Anyways, we have Ivan, who has successfully navigated the dark rooms of Pod and is now taking on Helmasaur, our first Helmasaur fight of this seed at 136.50.
So Bombos was in Spike Cave, which only Ozzy has dipped into.
Alright, what was Helmasaur carrying? The gravity suit. There will be no suitless Meridia today.
It's one suit down, one to go.
If I were a betting man, I would say that after Ivan does Eastern, that might be the next stop on his list. Now, the seed could still be a bit of a troll. We have found Grappling Beam very early, so it is very possible we could see progression on Shack Tool. And it looks like Aussie gave us a quick check of Gold Terizo, and the items there was a bottle and an E-tank. So, no reason to stick around for those, and Aussie's decided to reset to the ship. Our equipment count for Super Metroid is looking really, really good, by the way. We're looking at almost 60 Supers, 15 Power Bombs, at least 10 E-Tanks for pretty much everybody, if you add reserves in.
Yeah, I'm starting to question whether or not Ivan and Ozzy will just decide that gravity suit's enough. We won't bother with the Varia suit and just do the full run.
It's certainly possible, but I would imagine they would full clear Meridia first before doing so.
Ivan setting up the quick kill on those Armos. Very nicely done, and gets a shovel as a reward, so another fetch item.
The powder and the mushroom were both useless checks this time around. Will the shovel prove to be continuing the road, or will it make a nice U-turn and give us some more progression? I don't think so at this point. I kind of want to see something on Shack Tool now.
So while we got a bit of downtime, I think we should maybe give just a quick rundown of what this game involves, considering we may have some new people here from GDQ and maybe new to the randomizer scene. So this is Super Metroid and Link to the Past combo randomizer. It's essentially both games linked together through a number of 4 portals, and items from one game can be available in the other game and vice versa, and your goal is to get everything you require to get your 7 crystals from Link to the Past and defeat Ganon, along with defeating the Golden 4 of Super Metroid and defeating Mother Brain.
Yes, and the reason that this is even possible is because of both games' placement within the Super Nintendo's memory. Long story short, Link to the Past uses the more front half of the Super Nintendo's memory, while Super Metroid uses the back half. Therefore, there is no memory or address conflicts, and both games can run alongside each other with no major hiccups.
And today is our hard mode logic, which restricts, or not as much restricts, sort of opens up Super Metroid to some of the much more advanced techniques that you would use in like in a Super Metroid speedrunning. So you've got Hell Run, so you would run through Norfair without your Varia suit and just be constantly taking environmental damage. There is also a much more of an annoyance one where it's like Suitless Meridia, so you don't have a gravity suit to try and explore Meridia with, along with some short charges and starter charges of the speed booster.
Indeed, you may also have to do something like continuous wall jumps, infinite bomb jumps. Luckily, so far, it looks like the hard tricks have kind of been taking a rest this week. We haven't had to do anything particularly crazy to get our progression, although Morph Ball was in kind of a mildly trollish spot. It was in Green Brinstar, early supers.
So one of the things about this randomizer, just because it's a hard logic, doesn't mean you don't just have a pretty normal seed, because that is still a massive probability.
Now, something we should point out is that while we've been talking about this, Maniacal and Aussie both finished off Fantoon. However, Aussie was able to get the a more precise microwave shot in earlier, and Aussie was the first one to clear the boss, despite Maniacal entering first.
I do find it funny though, is like people are like you don't waste your time going out for X-ray, but if it's in your way, you pick it up, mainly because of the amount of time it saves versus these bosses, if you still have to kill them.
Yeah, and in this particular case, they didn't even know they had X-ray until they went into Super Metroid after checking Dark Cross, because, yeah, it was hiding this time.
Yeah, we did not have that lamp for going to the dark room.
Alright, looks like Ivan is now electing to do a Desert Palace dip here. Unfortunately, we know that this is not fruitful at all.
Ivan may just be reading the seed of finally getting to Thieves' Town and following the book.
Yes, and going into the 4 cross-game portals we can switch between, we've seen 3 of them, but we have not seen 1. The 3 that we have seen, there is one in the first shaft in Crateria that can take you from the instead of Crateria map station, it takes you to outside the fortune teller outside Lake Hylia. The second one is on Death Mountain behind the old man's cave. That will take you to the Upper Norfair Business Center. The third we've seen is the right side Mire Shed, which will take you just above the Screw Attack pedestal in Lower Norfair. And the fourth, which we have not seen, is on the far east side of Dark World, near Dark Ice Rod Cave, otherwise known as the Dark Shopping Mall, and that will take you to the back end of Meridia, just behind Batwoon.
We may find that Ivan uses it to get to the back door of Meridia, because I personally find that going from Dragon back through Meridia is a lot faster than trying to go through it the main way.
And yeah, I wasn't crazy. It was a map in that first chest of the right side of Desert. So Lamb Molus does have an item. Oh wait, no, the big chest. Oh wait,
So the first chest was a full heart container. The small key is on the torch.
yeah,
The first chest on the right is the map, and then it's the big key. So what's in the big chest?
that the big chest had the second item. I totally derped and forgot about the big chest. Yeah, that is a total derp on my end. Whoopsie!
Again, it happens. There's a lot of stuff going on in this seed.
And
Bressingham
Bressingham
getting their bow.
I'm trying to remember who dipped pod already. Aussie and Maniacal dipped pod. Did Bressingham dip pod?
I can't remember.
I don't think he did. So if he wanted to dip pod now, this would be the time. He's gonna find out that it's just a arrow cap upgrade on the pedestal first.
If he does decide to dip pod, he will go up to his butter sword because he will have found all 4 of them.
Yeah, interestingly, Aussie elected to skip the butter sword while Maniacal did pick it up. Now, granted, tempered to butter sword does not provide as significant of a damage increase as mastered to tempered. For one thing, upgrading to tempered sword means that for some enemies you only need slashes rather than spins. Examples include Lionel's and Ganon. Meanwhile, butter sword just gives you a little extra damage. And let's see what Ivan's deciding to do here. Looks like Ivan may be choosing to go to Meridia. He's gonna elect to put off Ice Palace, see if he can go mode it after finding Hookshot and Variasuit. Now, unfortunately, Ivan's a bit of a ways away from his Bombos medallion. That's chilling in Spike Cave.
So what's important to note is just because certain people look like they're ahead, for an item, particularly like the Bombos medallion, because there's no restriction on where it could be, that item could troll Ivan for the rest of the game. and could have a major impact on how he finishes this race.
True, although to be fair, there's nothing stopping him from getting it when he goes to Dark Death Mountain, and he will probably go there eventually. I would guess if he finds Hookshot here, it's going to lead him to Dark Death Mountain. The reason being is because that'll allow him to check Hookshot Cave, and he'll see the Bombos Medallion for Turtle Rock, but he's going to be right around the corner to Spike Cave anyway. And he has Cane of Burna, and I think both Cane and Magic Cave. So plenty of options to get through Spike Cave. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you fried shrimp.
So if anyone was watching Maniacal's screen while he was on the Red Tower, you may have saw a little bit of a graphical glitch. And that's because Maniacal was using something called the Moonfall, where if you moonwalk off an edge and jump during, I think it's like the remaining 6 or 8 frames, you seem to remove Sams's fall speed cap. And essentially Maniacal was just falling so fast the game couldn't keep up with it. And it can cause some weird effects on the graphics.
Yeah, the games generally don't like it when you go past their initial programmed caps. Aussie
Past. Sorry, go ahead.
Aussie nailing the crate quick kill as well. So we've got 3 out of 3 quick kills so far, with one more battle soon to follow.
Maniacal encroaching on Kraid's territory just now. So Link to the Past is a very popular game, or well-known game for not being able to handle doing multiple things at the same time.
And we had all-star quick kills from all 4 of our runners this time around, so very well done from our runners today, nailing all the quick kills. Looks like Ivan's first stop is to go check Plasma Beam.
Just a full heart container, though.
Yeah, nice thing about having Plasma Beam or Screw Attack here is that at least there's no issue getting out. Fun fact, these pirates are immune to the Hyper Beam.
Still don't understand as to why they're immune to the Hyper Beam.
Just another one of gaming's great mysteries. Alright, Ivan falling down the pipe, and it looks like his next stop is going to be the front half of Meridia. So areas like Main Street Missiles, Crab Supers, Mama Turtle.
And there's the hookshot.
There you go, Meridia was the play.
So ideally you find Vadia in one of these first checks as well, and then you just go straight down into Narfare and clear off Ridley.
Pretty much. Yeah, for Ivan, Unfortunately, though, for Ivan, he's still looking for his Bombos medallion, so until he finds that, he's going to full clear everything he comes across, I think. Now, Mama Turtle didn't look like it had much. It had missiles and... let me have another look. 2 missiles.
Or is he deciding to open up Turtle Rock?
He can full clear it, actually, so he might have... I guess he figures might as well just bank on there be something good in here. Which, if he finds Pegasus Boots and Variasuit in here, he'll be in pretty good shape, actually. Bressingham, meanwhile, is working through his pod Eastern dip. Ivan heading to the watering hole, just finding a pair of big 20s. And Maniacal getting his high jump boots, so now he's doing looking good for the rest of his Super Metroid trip. And yeah, to answer question chat, boots, as far as we're concerned, are with 5% chance, practically 5% chance exception, not required this seed. Desert is a pendant. We can get through the Meyer back door with hook shot. And I'll see finding Spring Ball in Turtle Rock in the Crystal Roller Room.
The best item in the game? Well, maybe not at this stage. Definitely early going, it's the best item in the game.
Indeed. Ivan, meanwhile, nailing the Aqueduct Shine Spark to get to see 5 bomb cap upgrade and a Nope tank, but elects to pass both of those. Maniacal now with his Bombos medallion in tow, maybe heading for Turtle Rock. Actually, no Fire Rod. Although, runners do tend to gamble Turtle Rock to see if Fire Rod is hiding in there. If the key layout is appropriate, runners can make it all the way to Laser Bridge without Fire Rod support. Oh, and I'm being informed Maniacal has Fire Rod, so never mind. So yeah, Turtle Rock for Maniacal and Aussie both seem like really good ideas right now. Just get it out of the way. Seeing as Go Mode Turtle Rock isn't much faster than Full Clear Turtle Rock, you're not going to lose a lot of time. And what if very soon the Pegasus Boots are chilling here? On the subject of the Variasuit, there it is in the right side sandpit.
So all Ivan needs now to be in Go mode as his ball mode. So we are now in what a lot of people call as no mode, because we know where everything is.
Yeah, at this point, and with Hookshot, you gotta figure Ivan's probably gonna think about checking East and Dark Death Mountains at this point. Because I do not believe he has been to, I think he has been to East Death Mountain, but I don't think he's been to Dark Death Mountain.
No, because he has his Paradox Cave. Yeah, he has his Paradox Cave as part of his beam. He has his Ice Beam, and that was available in Paradox Cave.
Right. Oh, that was the left side sandpit. Whoopsie. Remind me to consult the map next time.
Ivan getting bullied by a dead rock.
And then getting bullied by a big rock.
Cabbage boulders.
But I think the old man just gave Ivan some rock candy, and now he's rock solid.
It's getting hard to commentate with all these rock puns.
And yeah, it looks like Ivan is electing to go to Dark Death Mountain. So this is good news for Ivan. This is going to put him in go mode. Once he does Spike Cave. Assuming he does do Spike Cave.
It would make sense to Hookshot Cave and then work your way over to Spike Cave.
Well, here's hoping at this point.
Yeah, you don't want to be isolating orphaning checks off at this stage in the game, especially when you're only missing that one item.
And yeah, and especially since it's a medallion, medallions could be anywhere pretty much, besides in the dungeons they're locking. Meanwhile, we've been focusing on Ivan. We've completely ignored Aussie and Maniacal, absolutely zipping through Turtle Rock here. And doesn't look like they found anything too crazy in the meantime. They certainly haven't found Pegasus boots. Besides that spring ball and crystal roller room, that's about it.
I think it's the case that we don't really have much left to find that could be that much of a use to them.
Yeah, the only thing they would probably really like to see are Pegasus boots and maybe some hard container / red mail.
I mean, our silvers are still out there, but I'm sure all of our runners are pretty confident doing silverless Ganon.
Yeah, especially
but tempered and butter sword.
Yeah, the nice thing about Tempered Sword especially is it cuts down the number of spins you need to do by half. So instead of a 52 spin fight, it becomes a 28 spin fight. And even then, you can use slashes. All right, Ivan is going through Spike Cave, and at 2:03:15, Ivan is in go mode. Schrodinger's go mode, as chat points out. There could still be that big key on the torch, in which case we have no idea where those boots are.
Yeah, and I think Ivan now being in go mode is just electing just finish off Ridley and then spend the rest of your days inside Link to the Past.
That's not a bad idea, especially if Pegasus boots just so happen to be in Ridley's lair and Ridley escape. The only real major headache where boots could be is either Mire or Shack Tool. That's pretty much the only two spots boots could be, and boots were on Shack Tool a couple weeks ago. I think it was 2 Mondays ago, if memory serves. Chad points out back of Swamp is also a distinct possibility.
That would be a pretty cruel place for them to be, considering the flute from earlier was a sort of wild goose chase.
Yeah, although Ivan has not dipped Swamp Palace, so for him at least, and for that matter, he hasn't dipped Ice either. So, him electing to skip those two dungeons, despite Swamp's potential abundance of checks and Ice Palace's crystal, that's gonna do him a lot of favors.
Sees that red shirt and then goes, nope.
Actually, I just realized Gold Teresa was another boss where Microwave doesn't work, but Charge Plasma is still the best course of action against him.
Yeah, you get that sweet spot underneath him and he just can't hit you with anything and refuses to move. And with yourself being crouched, the charge plasma hits twice.
Indeed. Now, help me out with something. Why did the game only drop one super missile drop for Ivan?
RNG.
Because that was weird. I'm not used to that. Well, this is interesting. Ivan decided to take a quick pit stop into the mire area, I guess just to check for any maybe helpful items, and he ended up getting this butter sword. I think he might be looking for maybe some more E-tanks. He certainly can't be looking for anything that would help him in Super Metroid. He might also be trying to find Pegasus boots, although he's going to be mildly annoyed when he sees this lamp.
I would question if he was still looking for the lamp, because Turtle Rock does have a dark room, but it's not. It's probably one of the easier dark rooms to learn, because it's just a case of press a direction for a period of time and the platform on the track takes you where you need to go.
Yeah, that one's more of a dark room that you just need to face tank a lot of fire bars. And you're pretty much in good shape. Now, I know Ivan's not looking for the lamp. If he was going back there, he was looking for Pegasus boots. And worst room in the game, not an issue for Ivan. He's got Space Jump, Ice Beam, Screw Attack, Quispy Beam. Actually, no, there's no S in there. No Spazer. That is actually one beam we never ended up finding this time around.
Thankfully, it's not required though, since we have plasmas from such an early part of the game.
Not this time. To answer question in chat, there are a grand total of 5 entrants in this race today. Just one off camera. And answer question in chat, that various suit was in left side sandpit. I had mistakenly said right initially, but it was left side. Oh, Spazer was right, Sam. Oh my goodness. That's what I get for not looking.
Pressing hand signing up to do a microwave for the shrimp.
Yeah, and this is honestly the fastest way to take out Dragon pretty much any day of the week.
So in case anyone's wondering why you crouch, there are certain parts of Super Metroid that force you to make a stand up, and in this case it forces you to stand up when Dragon dies. So it's a good indicator that you can stop mashing your X-ray button.
Ah, that I did not know.
Yeah, I believe the other place it forces you to stand up is during the stand-up glitch, essentially. I believe there's
Right.
2 checks there.
Yeah, there's 2 checks. One is right when the baby latches. I don't know what the other one is.
That's why you see all of the runners constantly either space jumping or doing wall jumps against the wall to keep themselves off the ground when they're trying to set up the stand-up glitch.
Meanwhile, I've been having absolutely no trouble with this roaring pterodactyl we're dealing with right now.
Yep, you get them into that pogo state, you can just keep shooting them and then getting grabbed really quickly. That's a skill. Getting Ridley to grab you really quickly is a skill.
Definitely. But yeah, with this, Ivan is now done with all of the Super Metroid bosses. He now just has to go mode Ice Palace and Turtle Rock, and he's in business.
Yep, so it does not matter which game he finishes first. If he decides to do Super Metroid first, he will run through the escape sequence with the Hyper Beam, but there'll be no timer, so he can take his sweet time doing it. You'll probably find that most people choose to do Link to the Past first. The idea is that sometimes, and not in this seed because we found them all, but there's a lot of quality of life items for Super Metroid that are usually lurking inside Ganon's tower. For example, the beams, because not all beams are required to finish the seed.
Yeah, the beams, depending on how logic treats you, speed booster, space jump. There can be a lot of annoyingly useful movement items in GT. Yeah, so Bressingham did see the Varia suit, but is elected to reset and is going to check the other locations in Meridia first, then get Varia on the way out.
Yeah, it's much quicker. Even if you see something of importance in the first sandpit, it's much quicker to still just reset, check the other sandpit, and then if that's worthless, just reset again. The worst is when you reset and then you find there's an item of importance in both sandpits, because then you have to do a loop-de-loop to go back around and pick up the other item.
Yeah, not the case today, thankfully. All things considering, I want to be really honest, the seed has been really good to our runners this time around. No excessive hard mode trickery. Pretty much everything in fairly respectable locations. The only thing you might have had to do a little bit of a stretch for is that fire rod linked to bow, which led to the Helmosaur kill, which gave you gravity suit, but that's about it.
Yeah, with early speed booster, early gravity, early space jump, early grapple beam. It's like you had plenty of ways to get to the wreck ship.
I gotta stop you for a split second because we actually, as Chad is pointing out, Aussie has picked up the last crystal, and we can do the big key guessing game. So yeah, there are 22 locations, 21 chests, and 1 torch in the basement of Ganon's tower where the big key could be. You got about 30 more seconds to get a guess in between 1 and 22 where you think that big key will be in the order that Aussie 101 gets those chests. Personally, the seed's been a little too generous. I'm going to say 21, because that's going to be the guess before Tile Room. And I think we got to see some Armos on ice today.
I was thinking 22 because, yeah, the seat's been too nice.
All right, first chest, Hope Room. Chest number 1 is the map. Chest number 2, one small key, and Aussie elects to go to the right side of GT with that key. And it looks like Bressingham did not go to Main Street Missiles to get that hook shot.
Yeah, that may cost him. I think after finding the various, just first instinct is, yep, let's go through Lower North here.
Now, granted, if he elects to hover or Moldorm Bouncer, whatever various methods can be done to skip Moldorm 2, he doesn't need that hook shot. So that is pretty much the only reason we need hookshot at this point. Alright, chests, we got 50 rupees, blue rupee, super missiles, and a big 20, so nothing on right side GT. That was chests 3 through 6. And it looks like Aussie is going full right. Certainly not a play you see too often for a GT check.
No, most people go right, pick up the key, and then mirror out to and then do the left side.
Alright, Maniacal getting his gravity suit now from Helmasaur King. Hi, Bob. Bob, you're looking pretty good today. And you were holding out on us. You were packing the silver arrows in chest number 7. Good time for that, too. Now we present to you, ladies and gentlemen, Armos on Ice. With special guest, the Dancing 6 Silver Arrows. Chests 8 through 10, we get more sticks, pack of power bombs, and a pack of regular bombs. Now, moment of truth. Is the big key on the torch? No. Okay, Ivan's in definite go mode now. Alright, looks like Aussie is electing to bomb jump, try to bomb jump to left side GT here.
Yeah, so this is a rare circumstance where we don't have boots or the hook shot inside GT. So trying to maneuver these pits is a bit of a pain.
Has no trouble dealing with it. Chest 12 through 15. Small key, small key. Are we going to get 2 more small keys? There's supposed to be 6 in GT. There's a missile pack. And a blue rupee, so it is not 15 chests down. And Aussie decides, rather than try to get down from the Stalfos room, he elects to just go ahead and mirror. And as Chad points out, given that Aussie is already doing GT, looks like he doesn't really care much about Variasuit. He may end up doing the grand, as I like to call it, the Grand Hell Run to Ridley and back.
And Ozzy, of course, is very skilled at doing the bomb jump to get across Moldorm too, so chances are probably not caring about that hook shot either.
Yeah, we're in a case where And especially since you have, plenty of ammunition, and also got some more power bomb packs, which can help for Crystal Flash uses. Another major advantage is Aussie has all of the movement items he needs to pretty much zip straight through Super Metroid. He's got Spring Ball, he's got High Jump, he's got Screw Attack, he's got Speed Booster. He's in good shape. So yeah, we may be looking at a grand hell run here. This may not have been a hard mode, certainly didn't feel like a hard mode seed, but Aussie's going to show us what real hard mode feels like. We hope. Now granted, the Grand Hell Run is never required by logic, but it's still really awesome to see when it's done correctly. Just some more sticks, stick cap upgrade in GT. Now we go to the Rando room, and I believe this is checks 18 to 21.
Yep, these were the last 4 checks before title room.
Randomizer room, aptly named because you only see it in Randomizer, otherwise it's just refills in vanilla. We got more power bombs, our last bottle, 50 rupees, and a missile pack. The big key is in tile room, guess 22. Good guess, Thoris.
See, I knew this seed was too friendly.
Had to troll our runners somehow, but in chat, it looks like... This is fascinating. Nobody guessed tile room. I don't think.
Unfortunately, the commentators cannot win.
Yeah, nobody guessed tile room, but the closest was Old Man Sunshine with a guess of... later guess of 20. Which is good news for the other runners, because most likely, unless they gamble tile room, they'll be picking up those silver arrows from Bob's chest. I think everybody would have wanted it to be on the torch, but oh wow.
Yeah, the question is at what point do you start to feel behind enough where you take that gamble of just doing the tile room first? Because that first small key was on the right side.
I'm honestly not sure. Given the nature of this seed and how well placed everything seemed to be, whereas really there weren't too many barren checks besides swamp and desert. I can't imagine runners doing that this time around. Maybe Maniacal, considering he also had to double dip Pod and dip Swamp Palace. But I still find it relatively unlikely. But yeah, strap yourselves in, folks, because we've got still quite a good finish here to be looked at this evening. So at this point, Ivan just needs to finish Go Moding Turtle Rock and do GT and Mother Brain, and then Aussie, on the other hand, after finishing GT, still has to do Dragon, Ridley, and Mother Brain, and Ridley will be done probably via the Grand Hell Run.
So Bresnium, I think, just stumbled into a bit of good luck, because this is the way you would get out of doing of the Ridley fight to get back towards your ship. You would sort of climb up through Meridia to get to the Meridia escape into Criteria, and that would get you to your ship. And in doing so, has stumbled across the hookshot.
Ooh, lucky break for Bressingham there. Now, Bressingham, unfortunately, much like Ivan before him, is still looking for that Bamos medallion, but with Hookshot, hopefully that'll lure him to Dark Death Mountain and convince him to take a look. Aussie having very little trouble making his way up the gauntlet. And he elects to check the final chests up here in GT. I'm wondering if he's looking for Pegasus boots to see if he can try and hover. Alright, Aussie. How you planning on getting around this? Alright, looks like what Aussie is going to do is perform the Moldorm bounce. Well, after taking a Moldorm fall.
Moldorm bounced him into that bit.
So yeah, what Aussie is doing here is he is attempting to have Moldorm knock him right into the pixel perfect position with this bomb jump to knock him across the gap so that he does not have to, he can get to the last platform on the south side of the room without Hookshot. Unfortunately, you're expecting Moldorm, of all things, to cooperate with you in order to pull that off. Oh, and it's looking good. He's setting it up. And just like that, he is across the gap.
Easy every time.
Now, the last thing he wants to do is take a death to Aga 2. Otherwise, he's going to have to do all of that again, except get the big key. Beautiful cycle there from Ivan.
Yeah, with Border Sword, you only have to do one cycle with each of the rods against the heads, whereas with Tempered, you have to do two.
Now, I believe the first hit on Aga was a double, so I think Aussie needs 3 more hits here. Got another double. And that'll do it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to face the big pig.
Meanwhile, Bresnan was about to take on Turian and head towards Mother Brain first.
Ooh, this is an interesting call here. I think he figures since he's in Super Metroid Go mode, rather than, try and look for Pegasus boots, he's just going to get this done and then just zip through GT. Join me, hero, and I will make your face the greatest in the Dark World, or else you will die.
Maniacal's making a play for the Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah, I think I understand why he's banking it has various suit or hookshot. Unfortunately, she will have neither.
It's one of these things that can, given Maniacal's probably experience with the randomizer and the information that they have at this time, it's not particularly a bad play. It's just we know from our experience that it's the wrong play.
Yeah, just an unfortunate case of commentators and audience know everything. Aussie already on phase 3 here of the Ganon fight, and with Silver Arrows, this fight will be over real soon. And because this is version 29, Ganon will still ask, "Did you find the arrows in my tower?" To which Ossie's reply will be, yeeting 2 silver arrows into his arm. Immediately followed by 2 into the back.
Very quick cycle of the final fight of Ganon.
Get your
So
single
get your
G.
GGs. Or just the one G, yeah.
Yeah, your single G in chat for Aussie, as his next order of business is to take down Dragon and Ridley and then fight the big brain. Bressingham, meanwhile, continuing through Torian, made no attempt at baby skip and just decided, nope, I'm just gonna let the baby drain me. Which makes a lot of sense. He doesn't have high jump, so that would be a bit of a trek, a bit of a chore to get a baby skip without high jump.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth the time commitment. I believe it is possible, but it's just not worth the time.
All right, Aussie is going to use the northwestern, or northeastern, I should say, Hyrule portal, Dark World portal to get down to Dark Shopping Mall. As Bressingham nails the Zebetite skip there.
I initially thought that to be very hard, but with a bit of practice on the Zeptite skip, it's actually quite easy to do. I would highly recommend it. If anyone's running this game, or even just running Super Metroid, yeah, do some practice on that skip.
All right, Bressingham now on to the next phase of Mother Brain here. And that's fried shrimp number 3 for Maniacal, and very soon to be followed by fried shrimp number 4. So we had all 4 crate quick kills and all 4 fried shrimp options for our runners today. So the seed pretty much making it easy to tell our runners how they want to handle bosses today for Super Metroid.
Pressing out just in his health, so likely going for the standout glitch here.
Alright, so yeah, how stand-up glitch works is Maniacal is going to reduce his health down to just under 1 energy tank, which will force Mother Brain into effectively what we call the cutscene phase, where the baby Metroid will come to the rescue like so. While Bressingham is airborne, he will not stop moving or not be forced to kneel down, as the game would normally have a check to make sure he would do if he was standing up. Once the baby gets off Mother Brain, she will be vulnerable to charged plasma attack, or charge beam attacks. Bressingham will take advantage of the time the baby will spend healing her, healing Samus, I should say, to deliver charge shots into Mother Brain. Now, Mother Brain at this point has 30,000 HP. Each charge ice wave plasma shot does 900 damage. Now, once Bressingham gets Hyper Beam, the Hyper Beam does 1,000 damage. So ideally, if Bressingham is good with his charge shots, he will be able to knock Mother Brain down to 1 HP. Or actually 0 HP. It is possible to get zero shot phase 3 here.
It's just annoying because Mother Brain has a flag that means that you actually have to kill her with the Hyper Beam.
Exactly, and I'm being enlightened in chat that it's 36,000 HP, not 30,000, my mistake.
There's a couple of things you need to watch though with the stand-up glitch. If you are too close to Mother Brain or too far away and the Mother Brain can't hit the baby Metroid, you get yourself into a soft lock where the baby will never take enough damage to come off of you. and thus the phases don't progress. There's another one where if you shoot a charged beam at the point where your beam is supposed to transition to hyper mode, your game will stutter to about 1 or 2 frames per second, and after about 5 minutes finally release itself, and you'll have the hyper beam.
Yeah, those are two very dangerous circumstances you want to watch out for. Meanwhile, Aussie, after getting that energy tank from Gold Torizo, I believe he is setting up to do here the Grand Hell Run. Meanwhile, Ivan has his big key and will now traverse GT up to the top of GT. Now, you might notice the timer is not on Bressingham's screen right now. Since Bressingham elected to take down Mother Brain before Ganon, the countdown is not present, although the game is still acting as though it is the escape sequence. But as soon as Bressingham clears this door, the time bomb will immediately deactivate, and we're back to normal Super Metroid. However, Bressingham will maintain his Hyper Beam until he transitions to A Link to the Past, and there goes the Hyper Beam. In the meantime, get your single G in for Bressingham, as the only things left on his to-do list is to go to Spike Cave, finish Turtle Rock, and go defeat Ganon. Ivan hurting my ears with how that spike got placed with that crystal switch. Alright, so Aussie in the middle of the Grand Hell Run is standing right in front of Ridley's doorway, but he elects to hold still for a split second here to perform a Crystal Flash. He has enough power bombs for 3 Crystal Flashes, which is definitely, you want to make sure you can do at least 2. So being able to do 3 is just that extra bit of safety.
So Crystal Flash being a technique that's not taught to you in the game. Your sort of only hint that you can do it is if you leave yourself on the title screen, and it sort of gives you wee clips of the game being played. That's your only real hint of how it works. But it's a free health recharge. It recharges you to full energy and all your reserve tanks for the cost of 10 of each ammo plus an extra power bump.
Indeed, and I think you have to be holding down a lot of buttons while your power bomb is going off, and you have to be under 50 energy. Yeah, Aussie being really careful here to try and not get hit by Ridley unnecessarily, because the last thing he wants is for Ridley to cause him to KO, because if he KOs now, it's going to put him at the ship, since his last save was the transition into Super Metroid from A Link to the Past. Game was not very generous on his health drops there. Bressingham, meanwhile, has entered Go mode at 238.36. Maniacal, meanwhile, is opening the door to GT. All right, folks. It's like we said, strap yourselves in. This is going to become a wild ride very quickly. Now, Aussie, I gotta hand it to him, just took a really gutsy wall jump to get up those spikes. to save a little bit of time before the next Crystal Flash. Getting a tiny bit of extra health from those spiked hoppers. And with Space Jump and Screw Attack should have no problem getting through the three the Three Stooges, I should say. The Three Musketeers is later. Alright, Ivan on his big pig fight. And once again, Screw Attack making the Three Musketeers a complete joke. And one more CDI Ganon quote later, Ivan is now fighting Ganon.
Yeah, we're definitely getting close to this being a race to Mother Brain.
And Aussie has successfully made it back to Bubble Mountain at this point and is absolutely bulldozing his way over to the ship. And it looks like what Aussie is going to do is he's going to transition to a Link to the Past, which will save his game, and immediately hard reset after saving and quitting.
And that'll put Ozzy back on his ship, get a nice recharge, refill his ammo, refill the HP after doing the hell run through Ridley, and prepare him for Mother Brain.
Ooh, Ivan just a tiny bit too high with that silver arrow. Oh, we got an interesting gutsy play here. Aussie is electing to skip the health refill at the ship. He is going straight for Mother Brain. Meanwhile, get a single G in for Ivan, who is now just reset and gone straight to Super Metroid. Folks, this is down to the wire. Yeah, Aussie electing to skip that health and ammunition refill. This is going to be real interesting because there's 15 Metroids he's got to get by. Although the Super Missile drops seem to be relatively friendly so far. Wow, Aussie is absolutely dashing through Torian. And the funniest thing is, the reason this is so neck and neck is because Aussie decided to do the Grand Hell Run. Ivan didn't really do anything particularly wrong with his routing. Aussie just skipped out on Meridia. No baby skip though.
So if I even chooses to a baby skip here, how close is it going to be? Can it be like one room apart, maybe?
Maybe a little more than one room apart, but still very close. Let's see. And he gets it. Nicely done. This is going to put him up just about a minute behind Aussie. So there are a lot of things that can change the course of this run. There could be... the main thing's probably going to come down to how many charge shots do they both get on Mother Brain here during stand-up skip, or stand-up glitch.
Yeah, I think one of the only things that will make a play here is without the Varia suit, that Rainbow Beam does the full 600 damage to Ozzy, but he's got, what's that, 10 plus energy tanks of energy, so
11
okay
plus
with
a
stamina.
reserve. Yeah, 11 plus at least one reserve. And maybe that hit, yep, he knows exactly what his defenses are. And he just decides to go straight into the head. Ivan's getting himself set up now, too. Ivan cutting it a little bit close there, but manages to pull it off as well.
As long as you survive with one energy, you've got all you need. That Mother Brain is looking really red on Ozzy's side.
Two shots was all he needed. Ivan, meanwhile, only needing one single shot from the Hyper Beam to take out Mother Brain. Very well done from both runners with that Mother Brain fight.
Now, well, Ozzy saved the animals.
All right, Aussie nails the vertical shine spark. Just zipping out of Crateria. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, get your GG in for Aussie 101, who has just finished in first place amongst our restream and our community race with a official SRL time of 2:49.18. Absolutely
Yep, GG.
absolutely beautiful performance from Aussie 101 tonight. But meanwhile, Ivan not too far behind here. And Ivan finishing in second place amongst our community and second place amongst our restream with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 50 minutes, and 1 second.
And
GG's to Ivan. Jinx. No, I'm kidding.
And that's how you finish a race.
Absolutely. Not to mention a a 250 time, especially for a hard mode seed. That is fantastic. All right, we are joined in the booth by Aussie 101. Aussie, GG, and a fantastic performance.
Thanks, GG.
Yeah,
That
GG.
seed was really exciting. It's the first bounce seed that I've seen. I didn't need hookshot or boots.
Indeed. So, first off, we are joined now in the booth by Ivan. So, Ivan, GG to you as well.
Hello, thank you.
Yep, GG.
Jeez.
So, Aussie, would you like to know where Hookshot and Variasuit were both hiding?
Sure.
Hookshot was in Main Street Missiles, and Variasuit was in Left Side Sandpit. Both were in Meridia.
Okay, that makes the most sense.
Were the boots in some pendant dungeon?
We don't know where the boots are.
Oh, really? Oh, did you bomb over Moldorm?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
He bombed over Moldorm and did what
Gee.
I like to call the grand. He did what I like to call the grand hell run to Ridley and back. He did not dip Meridia at all.
Yeah, I figured Ossie'd probably done Lower Norfair Hell, but damn, where are the damn boots? Sorry, go ahead.
We're thinking either back at Swamp Palace or Misery Mire at this point.
Yeah. I spent way too much time after I got Bombos looking for the boots.
I spent way too long looking for Morph Ball.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about that for a second because yeah, you both took widely different routes at the start. So after you all got your did your Kakariko and South Shore checks, Ivan went back to Super Metroid and headed towards Red Tower to go do Alpha Power Bombs, which is in logic in hard mode because of Speed Booster. And then went to do the Brinstar checks and found the Morph Ball and all the various loaded Super Metroid movement items. Whereas Aussie, you elected to sequence break into Death Mountain and do Tower of Hera instead.
I don't think it was entirely sequence break after I got the flute.
You got a flute? Where the hell's the flute?
It was in Left Side Swamp.
Oh god.
Yeah, you wouldn't want it.
No. No, I basically last location the pearl, so.
Yeah, it was really interesting because, and Bressingham and Maniacal are in your boat as well, Aussie, where they went with you up to Death Mountain and didn't go to Super Metroid until they were down to Morph Ball, whereas Ivan went through all of Super Metroid and the last thing was Moon Pearl.
Yeah, with that flute, we also happened to get like exactly 5 E-tanks in reserve, and so that gave us Upper Norfair. So I was able to put off Brinstar for a long time.
Yeah, in terms of like offensive gear, that was never an issue this run. This run, we found Butter Sword relative. We found swords pretty fast. You guys got Charge, Ice Wave, Plasma very quickly. Plasma's in a really good spot.
Yeah, I'm just sad that I couldn't do the attic strat, because it's like the first time I've ever had everything you need.
I'm not familiar with the attic strat.
It's just in attic having all the equipment. There's
Oh,
a
okay.
there's a cool way to do it.
Is that the one where you use the speed booster and sharp shine spark through it with a starter charge? Or is that a different one?
No. It's where you get a lot of speed and then bounce off of the spark and fly halfway across the room.
Oh, I'm just noticing. Meanwhile, we have got Bressingham doing GT. Maniacal is doing the Grand Hell Run as well.
I like how we nerfed the gravity suit to make the Varia a bit more relevant, and our runners are still skipping on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a good ammo and health count for skipping Varia.
You know, I was talking to myself, saying that I was gonna skip it right before I found it.
Yeah, as far as like hard mode trickery was concerned, as far as logical requirements, there were not any hard mode shenanigans needed this time around. This seed was actually, all things considering, pretty generous. And can we talk about that tile room big key for a second?
That was especially bad because I had to bomb jump all the way through left side. And then it turns out it was just tile room anyway.
Yeah, we were noticing that you elected to go full right, so that way, so you didn't have to bomb jump, hoping for the key to be there, and you ironically got silver arrows right in time for Armos on ice.
Yep. What I liked about GT is it's a lot like any percent restricted major glitches, and that's something I've been practicing a lot recently. So those bomb jumps in particular, I'm pretty good at. Except for the ones to the selfless room. I had to relearn that. So I had a lot of fun skipping my hook shot and doing a slow GT.
Yeah, honestly, that's something I gotta compliment you on with Ivan. Your routing was actually pretty solid throughout. You never had to. You didn't have to dip swamp, and you did not double dip pod. Aussie did, but hit the Grand Hell run kind of made the difference there.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of worked out that way for not having a double dip pod, because I was planning on going to the pod area after I'd finished Skullwoods.
Yeah, I will say though, actually, one thing that I guess could have been mildly trolly was that bow. Because we were wondering, oh great, is Bo going to be on Turtle Rock Laser Bridge? Is it going to be on the pedestal? Yeah, the only other like major difference between you two was your Bombos medallion acquisitions. Aussie picked that up on his first trip up Death Mountain, whereas Ivan, I think that was your go mode item.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still following Flute, and it gave me Burna at Croc. And so that's why I got Bombos when I did. And then as far as endgame goes, like it was cool skipping hookshot, but I was kind of expecting Ivan or someone to just find hookshot and boots and Varia like all together somewhere and just do what I did a lot faster.
I was hoping I found boots.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at this point if the boots were hanging out in Shack Tool this whole time and Meridia was really the triple whammy. Because if that were the case, you'd have to go all over Meridia. You have to go to the first half for Main Street, the middle for the Sand Pits, and the back for Shack Tool.
Yeah, from my perspective, it was looking like a suitless Meridia seed. I had very little left when I finished off pod.
Yeah, I thought it might have been, but I didn't have high jump, so I got the book super late.
Yeah, we were starting to think Suitless Meridia too, and then down goes Helmasaur, and what do you know? Helmasaur had progression. Again. Maniacal, meanwhile, has performed his last Crystal Flash, and it looks like he will successfully perform the Grand Hell Run. I've been seeing this a lot lately the last couple of weeks, and it never ceases to amaze me how tough this trick is.
You need to be calm under the pressure, though. Your health is constantly ticking down. I suppose timing for your crystal flash as well, like knowing what your health number should be at when you plant the power bomb, because it takes time to fire off. You've got the power bomb animation as well to count down.
And with that Grand Hell Run successfully performed, all Maniacal has to do is take down Mother Brain, whereas Bressingham is on his way to the top of GT.
I think Maniacal realised he could save and quit from Link to the Past, as opposed to walking it from Super Metroid.
Looks like it. So yeah, luckily it looks like all of our runners got to do will get to do a Master Sword, at least, or I should say Tempered Sword, at least, Silver Arrows Ganon. So Ganon was not a trouble today at all, I think.
I found gold, but skipped it. But then I messed up the 1-in-1, so I guess I could have used it.
Oops, Bressingham getting bullied by mini Helmasaurs there.
Yep, stairs on ice do not work very well.
Yeah, there's that whole precision placement and everything. All right, Bressingham is on to fight the big pig, while Maniacal is on his way to deal with the big baby.
Okay, if that's it for questions, I think I'll be off.
Yeah, I don't have any. Thoris, if you have any, anything else you want to add?
No, I think we covered a good amount.
Yeah, so GG, Aussie, and again, fantastic performance as always.
Yep, it was a cool one to rebroadcast and cool of Speed Gaming to show it.
Ooh, Bressingham did not get a 1 cycle on Ganon phase 2 here, so has to deal with Fire Bats a little bit longer. But manages to snake around him, no problem.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna head out too. Thanks for doing comms, guys.
No problems, and once again, GG, Ivan.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks for running.
All right, Bressingham on the final phase of the Ganon fight here, as Maniacal has gotten around the baby, successfully done baby skip, and is now on the way to Mother Brain. Woohoo, Bressingham almost took a Fire Bat to the face there.
Nearly took a hug straight after it too.
Yeah, granted, a hug would not have killed him on Red Mail, but that would have still cut it close. But ladies and gentlemen, get your GGs in for Bressingham, as a 1x3 bridge is all that stands between him and his dot done. And with this, Bressingham crosses the finish line in 3rd place with an official SRL time of 3:06:19. So GG's to Bressingham.
Yep, GG's indeed.
And Bressingham now joins us up in the booth. Bressingham, GG.
Thank you, GG.
GG.
So, what did you think of that one?
That was pretty fun. The one thing I wished was that there was something more in Left Side Swamp. That sort of ended up not paying off too well. I mean, the flute saved a lot of time, and the sword from Checkerboard saved, me dying on blind, maybe. But I don't think it saved enough time, because I'm not sure if anyone else went in there. Oh, it looks like Maniacal and Aussie both did.
Yeah, Maniacal and Aussie both went into Left Side Swamp, but Aussie ended up skipping Meridia, so he skipped out on Hookshot and Various Soup, but he did the, and Maniacal for that matter, did the Grand Hell Run to Ridley and succeeded.
Nice. Awesome, well done. Yeah, as soon as I saw that all I needed was Hookshot and Bombos, I was waiting to see Aussie finish, because I know he can do that bounce. So it's nice to see finally get a bounce seed for him.
Yeah, so one thing that, some interesting divergence we had early on is that you, Aussie, and Maniacal both elected to chase the, to go up to Death Mountain and stay in A Link to the Past a long while after Kakariko and South Shore. Ivan, meanwhile, went back to Super Metroid soon after and instead found all the Super Metroid movement items, while you guys were clearing out Tower of Hera and getting a few Paradox Cave checks in. And
So I haven't got Morph early then?
Ivan got Morph, at Green Bryn really early.
Nice.
However, he, his downside was that he last location Moon Pearl, pretty much.
Where was that again?
That was in Zelda Cell.
Ah.
So yeah, all of you guys went down to Zelda Cell, and then I think most if not all of you sequence broke Death Mountain. Ivan, meanwhile, took the speed booster and went to Red Tower to get Alpha Power Bombs, which you can get to in hard mode.
Wow.
And in doing so, he routed in green and blue Brinstar to get, Plasma Beam, Morph Ball, Screw Attack, all that other good stuff. Super Metroid equipment was pretty generous this seed.
Yeah, I never found a good time to go back for high jump. And by the time I kind of wanted it, I was sort of done with everything.
We were starting to get a little worried before the Helmasaur King takedown that we were going to have to deal with Suitless Meridia, because we had high jump, we had grapple beam. It was like, oh boy, is there something on Shack Tool again? Luckily, not the case this time.
Yeah, I was also thinking about that.
Although, one thing that was missing in action the whole time, no sign of Pegasus boots.
Yeah, that's a shame.
And this
And
is after full
Spring Ball
clear.
in Cannon's Tower, that was also a shame. Or Turtle Rock or something.
Spring Ball was in Turtle Rock, yeah, Crystal Roller Room. But with that, get your GGs in chat from Maniacal, who has finished in 4th place with an SRL time of 3:10:20. So GGs to all of our runners today who have put up some fantastic performances.
Yep, GG.
GG.
And yeah, even after full clearing GT, like no boots. So it was like really weird. We're starting to think they were either Back a Swamp, Misery Mire, or Shack Tool. That's pretty much all we didn't see.
Yeah, that's not very much.
And yeah, how about that tile room, Big Key?
Classic.
Although, in Ossie's case, he elected to go full right when he entered GT, and granted, everybody pretty much did when they went right. They got silvers right before the Armos Knights.
Uh-huh.
So, revenge of the convenience. Yeah, everybody in chat was guessing that the Big Key was going to be on the torch and we'd be going on a wild goose chase for Pegasus boots, but Thorus, ironically, was the only one who guessed 22.
Yeah, I'm really glad it was not on the torch. We're gonna get Maniacal in here?
We're trying to. But are there any other things you want to say about the seed in the meantime, like swords that very soon hookshot on Meridia?
I got lucky with the flute leading to a sword early. I don't remember where the other ones were, but they weren't too bad.
Yeah, I think our swords were Missiles in the Sky was one of them. One was in Checkerboard Cave. I actually don't remember where the other two swords were.
Yeah, me neither.
One of them was underneath Brinstar, next to the animals.
That's right, above the
fourth
Edicum
was
pit.
in Palace of Darkness.
That's the one. It was in the Bowlock side, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it in the vanilla big key chest? Either way, it was in pod. Yeah, surprisingly, and Bressingham, you only went through pod once, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, Aussie and Maniacal both elected to dip pod before getting Fire Rod and then going to Skull Woods to get their bows.
Yeah, that was lucky. I really don't like going to pod without a bow. It's one of the only double dips that I will last location. I don't know what it is, but it just feels bad because there's so much to check over there. I don't know.
Yeah, not to mention, pod has like 12, like 13, 14 chests or something like that. It's a lot of traversing.
Yeah, it's a long dungeon.
So I can totally understand that.
I think it's also the idea that is like without the bow, you've got one check and then you're 50-50 on bow lock or not, depending if that first chest is a key.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
I will say I need to move my reset key away from my one key because I was tracking the number of items in Skull Woods and hit the tilde, which is my reset key. So that's what happened there.
Yikes. And we are joined by Maniacal. Maniacal, GG.
Hey, thanks. GG.
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 So, Maniacal, any particular thoughts on that seed?
I did it really, really wrong. I did it so wrong. It was pretty laughable. I'm shocked that that this wasn't like a 2-1x seed for anybody. That like, because I've never seen a seed with a texture like this. This is the first time I've ever seen a Moldorm bounce seed, and like I just don't know Moldorm bounce that well, and so I wasn't prepared to do it. But I'm surprised that nobody else elected to run that, because if you did, the seed was absolutely just free. It was completely ludicrous.
Actually, Aussie did do that.
How did it take him 2 hours and 40 some minutes to get through it then? What happened?
He did it second try. He also did the same Grand Hell run you did through Ridley. He actually skipped Meridia entirely.
Yeah, that seemed like the play to make for sure. Because if you're willing to commit to Moldorm bounce, you were in go mode at like 130 something in this seed. Unless you got screwed by boots or hookshot in GT. And so like I wouldn't have needed to get spring ball or any of that stuff. You could have just gone and done Dragon and gone and done Ridley, done your Hell run and just gotten out. And it was like the 40 minutes I spent looking for hookshot or boots just felt absolutely awful. Because I was like, okay, well, I'm just behind everyone who is prepared to do this trick, and I'm just not ready for it.
Yeah, unfortunately, boots are still, as far as we're concerned, missing for eternity for this seed.
Yeah, they weren't anywhere that I found, that's for sure. Did anyone find Varia?
Yes, Varia suit was in left side sandpit.
Okay, that makes some sense. I was worried that gravity was going to lead to Varia. That was one of the worst sequences to Varia for me in terms of my standing against people who wanted to find Varia.
Yeah, we were honestly getting a little worried that this was going to be suitless Meridia for a little bit when we noticed up until someone took down Helmasaur King and discovered that's where gravity was hiding.
Yeah, the bow got the better of me for a while, and then when I had bow, that should have been go mode, but instead it was not. And so everything that I did downstream of bow was bad, and everything I did before morph was just out of sequence. I just really bet against Pink Bryn, and Pink Bryn was just absolutely loaded, so I got my morph at like 128, and it was accessible at like 20 minutes, so I was an hour late to morph.
If you can believe it, so was Bressingham and Aussie. Ivan was the only one who went straight to Super Metroid after the Sphere Zero checks.
Yeah, the Moon Pearl was like the worst thing that could have happened to me, and then the fact that it led to Mitts was like, okay, this is the threat I should be chasing. And I was thinking, man, if you just chased your Super Metroid and committed to doing the Moldorm duck bounce, then like that was the whole seed. It was crazy. Like I said, I've never seen one quite like this. So yeah, I felt pretty bad about the time, just because of being so late to morph, and then not being ready for what the seed wanted. But it was still fun. I'm pretty rusty, so I was glad to just get a race in, and felt good to play again. It's been a few weeks.
You still put on a spectacular performance. I mean, not to mention you did the Grand Hell run.
That's what the seed wanted, though. That was one of the things that was like, all right, this is good, because it gave you a bunch of E-tanks, and so I did go out of my way to grab some of those. Like, I paused at one of the reserves, and I was like, no, I should totally take this and grab some extra power bombs. And I think it was all worth grabbing.
Good move. Well, all right. With that said, is there anything else you gentlemen want to say about this seed before we wrap up?
No, thanks for waiting around and having me in to chat. Appreciate it. Thanks for the restream and the commentary and everything. And GG's to everyone.
GG's.
All right, awesome. And once again, gentlemen, thank you for the for your race this evening. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up this episode of the Super Metroid: A Link to the Past Combo Randomizer race. We will be back Monday night at 9 p.m. with our normal Logic race. That is in Eastern Time. If you are looking for more speed gaming action tonight, we have our open weekly A Link to the Past Randomizer race going on Speed Gaming Channel 4. And in the ALTTPR tournament, we have Goomba versus Magnificent going on the main channel, just starting, actually. So plenty more speed gaming action on queue for you this evening. Thoris, anything else you would like to add?
I think this was a very interesting seat. We had 4 runners going 2 distinctly different routes. And instead of having one set be punished by, okay, there was nothing at that side, both routes were rewarded in some way or some capacity, which led to a really interesting route and run the seed.
Yeah, definitely one of the more branched out seeds I've seen in a really long time, certainly by comparison to last week.
Yeah, because last week we had 4 runners do 4 different routes, but they all got bottlenecked by that moon pearl sitting hidden away in the King's Tomb.
Not to mention an 8-item chain that led to Fire Rod or something along that line.
It's nice to see you get a wide variety of randomizer seeds.
Absolutely. Well, with that said, before we do close out, we do want to also give a shout out to our staff working the tech this evening. We had Mind of Me on tracking, and we had Miss Metroid running setup. So major thanks to both of them for gluing this whole thing together, making sure it doesn't fall apart. Major shout outs to my partner Thoris for being my partner today in the booth. And also a shout out to our runners who have once again, and I cannot overstate this enough, have put on an amazing show for you, and you really should give them a follow.
Yep, thank you as well, Captain, for taking time out your day to volunteer for the comms.
Always a pleasure, my friend. With that said, thank you all for watching. Have a great night, and see you next mission.